Listen, the storm has finally found the glass ceiling. It washes over the great dome in heavy, rhythmic sheets, creating a dense, cascading white noise that wraps around this sanctuary like a heavy velvet shroud. Welcome back to the quiet of the archives. Tonight, our journey takes us far above the heavy stone vaults of the lower library, deep into the soaring iron ribwork of the grand Victorian Conservatory. Up here, beneath a sweeping cathedral of glass panes, the frantic rush of the modern world does not exist. The vast landscape outside is completely swallowed by an ink-black midnight mist, broken only by the silver, driven lines of a winter rainstorm. The air within this room is thick, warm, and deeply comforting, laden with the rich, nostalgic sense of ancient things. You can smell the damp earth from the lower tiers, the peat, the dried lavender hanging from the rafters, and the unmistakable, sweet, resinous perfume of century-old parchment. Around us, towering cast-iron bookshelves wind upward in tight spirals, climbing toward the very apex of the dome. Their shelves are packed not only with leather-bound volumes, but with cascading green ferns, preserved mosses, and long-forgotten folios of botanical illustrations. Take your place, slowly, at the writing desk. It is a massive, beautiful piece of dark English walnut, positioned directly beneath the central curve of the glass roof. Upon its polished surface sits a single, antique brass oil lamp. Its flame is turned low, casting a soft, golden amber glow across the textured pages of an open herbal ledger. Beside it rests a crystal inkwell, a silver quill, and the quiet, steady, radiating warmth of a small iron wood-burning stove. Feel the perfect contrast of this space. The biting, freezing cold of the winter tempest, raging just inches away on the other side of the glass, and the absolute, locked-in safety of this warm, emerald cocoon. Let the sound of the downpour overhead dull the sharp edges of your thoughts. Let the accumulated weight of the day lift from your shoulders, dissolving completely into the rhythmic patter of water against iron. We are safe here. The archive is perfectly quiet, and the hours ahead are entirely ours to command. Turn the page, slowly, deliberately. The paper beneath your fingers is exceptionally heavy, thick, handmade vellum that turns with a soft, dry rasp, a comforting sound that echoes gently against the cast-iron pillars of the alcove. Before you lie the hand-painted records of an extinct flora, ancient leaves pressed directly into gold leaf, their delicate veins tracked with the meticulous faded ink of scholars who walked these halls a century before us. As your eyes follow the elegant lines of the text, your ears begin to map the intricate symphony of the glass ceiling. It is a completely different kind of rain up here. It does not muffle or thud against thick stone walls. Instead, it clatters, a sharp, crystalline music that rings through the structural iron framework, vibrating softly in the very floorboards beneath your feet. It is a constant, unbroken wash of natural sound, a brilliant acoustic barrier that seals us away from the flow of time itself. Look up into the deep green shadows above you. Directly over the desk, the massive fronds of century-old tree ferns hang suspended in the amber light of the lamp. They act as a secondary ceiling, catching the heavy moisture that condenses on the cold glass panes above. They gather the water drop by drop, pooling the moisture along their ridges until a single heavy bead finally falls, striking a broad green leaf on the lower tier with a soft, hollow tap. Tap. And then a long silence, save for the rolling rhythm of the storm. The clock in the distant library tower strikes the midnight hour, its deep chimes completely muffled by the rain on the glass. Inside the conservatory, the passage of time has ceased to matter. There is only the rain, the slow creeping growth of the ivy along the iron beams, and the steady, comforting glow of your lamp. Your mind is remarkably clear. Your breathing has naturally slowed to match the rhythmic rise and fall of the wind outside the glass. Deep, slow, entirely unhurried. There is absolutely nothing you need to resolve tonight. No urgent questions left unanswered. No lingering tasks demanding your attention. Every word has already been written. Every botanical specimen already catalogued. You are simply the keeper of the midnight watch. The storm deepens. The wind gathers immense strength from the coastal forest below, rushing against the reinforced glass panes, causing the old Victorian structure to groan softly. A low, comforting sigh of historical iron adjusting to the midnight cold. But the glass holds perfectly. It has held against the elements for over 100 years, shielding these delicate, forgotten histories from the winter frost. In the absolute center of the conservatory, surrounded by the deep shadows of the lower terrace, a rare orchid has quietly begun to open its petals. Its blooms are the color of crushed charcoal and deep indigo, catching the faint, pale moonlight that occasionally filters through the racing storm clouds overhead. It is a specimen that blooms only once every decade, at the dead of winter, beneath the heaviest rains of the season. It releases a faint, clean, intoxicating scent into the warm air, like ozone mixed with crushed mint and old wood. A subtle reminder that life continues its quiet, secret work, even in the deepest dark. Let your thoughts rest upon that quiet, solitary bloom. Like the orchid, your mind does not require the bright, frantic, distracting energy of the daytime sun to find its true focus. In the dark, insulated by the white noise of the tempest, your concentration settles naturally. It sinks deep into the texture of the paper, matching the deliberate, elegant, unhurried stroke of the scholar's silver pen. The world outside these walls is vast, chaotic, and relentlessly loud. But within these exact coordinates, inside this room of iron and glass, the entire universe has shrunk to the width of this single walnut desk. You are perfectly insulated, beautifully wrapped in layers of green shadow, warm lamplight, and ancient text. Listen to the endless rain cascading over the glass dome. Let it wash away the residual noise and static of the day, leaving behind only the pristine, quiet, empty space of the present moment. Rise now, slowly, and let your fingers trail along the cold iron railing of the spiral stair. Beneath the lowest tier of ferns stands a cabinet unlike any other in the conservatory, a herbarium of dark mahogany, easily 2 centuries old, its face divided into row upon row of shallow, brass-handled drawers. Each one is labelled in the fading copperplate hand of a botanist long since gone. Names of flowers that no longer exist anywhere in the living world, preserved here and nowhere else. Slide open the nearest drawer, slowly so it does not so much as creak. Inside, laid flat between sheets of tissue-thin paper, rests a pressed specimen, a fern frond, Flattened by the patient weight of decades, its color faded from green to the softest sepia brown. It is impossibly delicate, and yet it has outlasted the century around it. Run your gaze along its branching veins, each one a tiny river, frozen mid-flow, mapping a journey that ended long before you were born. The scent that rises from the drawer is unlike anything modern, a dry, papery sweetness, like the inside of an old book crossed with crushed chamomile. It fills the space around you, slow and unhurried, exactly as everything in this room unfolds. Close the drawer, just as gently as you opened it. Somewhere above, the rain has not slackened, but it has settled into a rhythm now, no longer an assault against the glass, but a companion to it, a heartbeat the old conservatory has long since learned to keep time with. You may keep time with it too, if you wish. There is no requirement to do anything at all. Let your shoulders drop another fraction of an inch. Let your jaw loosen. Let the small tensions behind your eyes dissolve into the low amber light. Nothing here demands your attention except the soft, continuous, endless comfort of the room itself. In the far corner, half swallowed by the shadow of the largest fern, an old brass armillary sphere turns almost imperceptibly on its stand. A relic from a much earlier era of this observatory, when the scholars here charted the paths of stars as carefully as they catalogued the leaves below. Its rings are tarnished to a deep, warm copper green, etched with constellations that have since drifted from where the old astronomers once placed them. And yet, here, frozen in brass, they remain exactly as they were on the night this instrument was first wound, a private, permanent midnight, untouched by the passage of centuries. Watch it turn. So slowly, you can barely perceive the motion at all, one full rotation taking longer than a single night could ever hold. Outside, beyond the fogged glass, the real stars remain hidden entirely behind the storm. But it does not matter. The sphere holds its own small universe here, in miniature, safe from the weather, safe from time, exactly as this room holds you. Let your breathing slow further, matching that impossible patient rotation, in and out, at the same unhurried pace as the brass rings above the desk. There is nothing written in these stars that requires solving tonight, no chart to complete, no constellation left to plot, only the quiet turning of old metal and the softer, slower turning of your own thoughts, settling now like dust after the last footstep has faded from the room. Lean back now, just slightly, and let your eyes drift up to the glass itself. Along the inside of every pane, the storm has left its own quiet handwriting. Condensation gathers in slow, branching rivulets, tracing pathways down the old leaded seams, each one following the faint groove left by 100 winters before this one. If you watch closely enough, without straining, you can see the water find the same ancient courses again and again, as though the glass remembers. There is no need to follow any single droplet to its end. Simply let your gaze rest somewhere in the middle distance, soft and unfocused, the way it does in the final moments before sleep. The rivulets blur gently into long silver threads, a moving, living map of nothing in particular, redrawn every few minutes by the same patient rain. Behind you, the iron stove ticks quietly as it cools, the sound small and steady, like the second hand of a very old clock. The scent of wood smoke mixes now with the lavender and the wet stone below, a final blending of every hour this room has held tonight. Somewhere above the ferns, another single drop gathers, swells, and falls, landing softly several floors below on a leaf no one will ever see fall. It does not need to be seen to matter. It falls all the same, quietly completing its small, unremarkable purpose, exactly as it has 10,000 times before. You do not need to notice everything. You do not need to hold on to anything at all. Let your thoughts blur the same way the glass does. Soft edges, slow movement, nothing urgent enough to require your full attention. The whole conservatory has settled now into its deepest, stillest hour. The hour when even the old iron beams stop their faint creaking, and the rain itself seems to lower its voice out of respect for the silence. Rest here in this soft, condensation-fogged quiet for as long as you need to. There is nowhere else the night requires you to be. The long hours stretch out into the dark. The brass oil lamp flickers slightly, its oil reservoir finally burning down, casting long dancing silhouettes of fern leaves across the iron pillars and the glass ceiling. The heavy downpour outside has finally begun to soften, shifting from a fierce metallic clatter to a steady, dense, whispering drizzle that coats the window panes in a shimmering, liquid mirror. Look out through the tall, arched frames. The pitch-black sky of midnight is beginning its slow, imperceptible transition. The heavy navy blue of the deep night is yielding at last to the first, cold, ethereal hues of the winter blue hour. The dark silhouettes of the pine trees outside emerge slowly from the creeping mist, standing like silent, ancient sentinels watching over the safety of the conservatory. The text before you is finished, the heavy ledger safely closed for the night. The small iron stove has settled into a dim bed of deep red embers, radiating a soft, lazy, residual warmth that coaxes the eyelids to grow increasingly heavy. The air in the room is completely still. The archive is at absolute peace. The keepers of this place will keep their quiet watch over the library shelves while you rest. The books will remain exactly as you left them, untouched by the world, waiting patiently for your return when the next storm calls us back to the desk. Let the final drifting lines of the rain close around your mind. Close your eyes. Sink deep into the plush velvet cushions of the reading alcove, and let the silence take the final turn.